An article in Art Forum 1981 named Jean-Michel Basquiat the Radiant Child. Over the next 7 years, he produced over 1,200 drawings and almost 1,000 paintings. He was celebrated with exhibits around the world before he died of an overdose at age 27 in 1988. Who was this meteor? Where did his bold colors and sweeping gestures come from? His friend Tamra Davis explores his life and art in her new definitive documentary, Basquiat, the Radiant Child. Canape draws a portrait of the New York genius.
Basquiat is New York, I believe. He was the youth of the 1980s, a beautiful boy, a man that people were very attracted to, and someone who began a change in the attitude towards street art.
He was raised in a middle-class family. You know, his father was an accountant. They were very well educated, his mother and father. You know, Jean-Michel was well educated, even though he kind of rebelled against authority. So he definitely had a hard time at school. He got kicked out of school quite a bit. But I think I just kind of felt like, having children myself, he was a different kind of a kid. He wasn't a kid that could just sit in a classroom and absorb. He needed to be out in the city. So I really felt that much of his education came from, he would get passionate about a subject and then completely engulf it. So when he went to the museums, he didn't just look at the art, he swallowed it, you know. And when he got introduced to jazz, he bought every jazz record you could get and listened to it and studied it and became an expert. When he got into wine, he studied it, he bought, you know, he self-educated himself with a passion that was so wonderful, because he really loved what he got interested in and just consumed it and expressed it in his work again.
We were living in a neighborhood called Borum Hill on Pacific Street. And they came and we were introduced to them, and Jean-Michel Basquiat and his father and his sisters. The neighborhood at that time was not, it was dicey. It was, New York had been on its way down, and Jean-Michel was very much a child of the 70s and very much into being a teenager in New York, and wanted to be hip. We were aware that Jean-Michel was doing graffiti and using the name Samo, but I think at one point we talked to him about it. And he seemed to have passed that stage. It was an initial stage for him.
The first time I met Jean-Michel Basquiat was on Glenn O'Brien TV Party. Glenn had a show on cable TV called, and there is a documentary actually that he did. It was just released, and it was, he had a mohawk, and he was sitting next to me, and he was showing his little postcard. And we knew him as Samo. And actually that night live, he said, Samo is dead. That means there was no more Samo. And now I'm Jean-Michel Basquiat.
People throw you out of your home, rip you off. What are you gonna do? You gotta be positive. You can do some good. Make some public art.
Downtown 81 was filmed during the winter of 1980 to 1981. It was one of the coldest winter. It was very difficult to shoot, and Jean-Michel had difficulties to get up in the morning, and he lived in the production office, and he started to sell his little paintings and artwork to the crew or Debbie Harry or things like that. When we came down lower Manhattan, Broadway, it was really no man's land there. But we knew that there was a lot of art things going on. The rents were really cheap, which we always go back to the same thing. Is like, when your rent is cheap, what happens is you can really become creative. You don't have to worry about anything. It's not like now that everybody has to struggle and it's always about the money. There, we didn't care about the money. As a matter of fact, we only cared about creating. We only cared about being. We only cared about the music, the scene, whatever, you know.
The world he lived in was so stimulating, and he moved at such a fast pace, and when you were with him, everything was like the most energy, the most fun chaos that you can imagine. And it was like this kaleidoscope of energy and images and influences that all smashed up next to each other. So whether it was the music that would go from bebop to classical music to hip hop, or new wave, 80s music mixed with his references talking about Leonardo da Vinci to, Charlie Parker to, everything was this kaleidoscope of information, and it all got mixed up and then put back out again.
One day he came downstairs and he wanted to borrow money. No, he wanted me to give him money, and I said I wouldn't do it. So Jean-Michel went back upstairs, and I had totally forgotten about him, and he came back down maybe in half an hour, and he said, okay, would you give me money for this? And it was a drawing of a man playing a bass, very heavy pants, very heavy clothes, the sun was shining, and he wanted $5 for it. And I gave him $5 for it.
Basquiat's roots, I think, were important because of his relationship with his father and his mother. That sense that even though he was born in America, he truly wasn't an African American specifically. And his father, who raised him to look upon himself as coming from a line of people who were, distinguished, as you say, Francophone peoples. And the Haitian connection, even though he didn't know Haiti except through his father, the Haitian connection of the African and the European, it isn't the same kind of connection that the African American and the European has. So he sort of saw himself as being able to transcend that he was able to de-essentialize race, because he came from people who were from the Caribbean, his mother being from Puerto Rico. And so he felt that he was special in his blackness, he was special in his darkness.
No matter how successful and how famous he got, whether you were in Los Angeles or New York, and especially New York at that time, it was, if you were a black man, you would get searched. You would get, you couldn't get a taxi. If you walked into a store, they would look at you suspiciously. And this was something that Jean-Michel it angered him very much, and I feel that he really represented it in his work. He put very, images that startle you in his work and kind of evoke African images or racism or slave or all these things, because he didn't want it to be hidden. He wanted to see what your reaction was going to be by putting it right there on the canvas.
I think in this portrait, one can see the genius of the draftsman Basquiat was. And if Basquiat was always quoting Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and Picasso as his three top references, I think it's because those three artists were genius of drawing, as Basquiat is.
He knew how to draw, and some of it was just intuitive, some of it was actually copying from a text, an art historical text or something he saw on television, from the descriptions of the kinds of moments that he would be involved in his drawings. There would be television going, there'd be jazz playing, and he'd have books open all over the place, and he'd be moving, drawing from page to page to page, and it would be sort of these outpourings. So as a draftsman, he's exquisite draftsman. But I don't see, it's almost like he's drawing, but he's writing through drawing. Like each object that he draws has a story behind it, a narrative behind it. So I think he was actually doing poetry even when he was drawing figurative things. Every artist needs their Navarra. I mean, every artist needs their champion. I mean, Jackson Pollock, who had very, difficult to understand work, had Greenberg. You need someone who is going to do the serious work of documenting the body of what you were about.
I think what Basquiat did is just make a picture of what America is in the 80s, one vision of America, and this vision is still true 20, 25 years after. Vincent van Gogh shoot him at himself. That is the work of Jean-Michel Basquiat, is to always related to history and to important moment of the history. He related to the old master, like Picasso did, like Matisse, and all the big painters have done. There is no art without history of art. I've been very lucky to be part of the success of Basquiat. I didn't do no things for the success of Basquiat. Basquiat could have been Basquiat without me.
He was just a kid. He wasn't anybody famous. He was just Jean-Michel Basquiat. And I didn't see him for a while. About a year before he died, he called. By then we had moved 3 blocks away, and he called me. And he called to say that he wanted me to know he was still the same person. And that was the last time I spoke to him.
Quality film, right?
Salvinas. Salvinas. The name of the song. Salvinas.
At 13 years of age, he was a kid playing on the tough streets of Paris's working-class suburbs. At 20, he was awarded the Legion of Honor, France's highest decoration. He is Thierry Henry, one of the greatest soccer players in the world. And now, at 33, he has come to play in the United States.
New York and New Jersey welcome Thierry Henry.
Thanks, man. As you can see, I'm just thrilled to be here. Everybody knows that I love the city. But I can assure you that I came here to try to win. That is the most important thing, and I'm a competitor, and I'm sure the boss will put a team out there to be sure that we can do it. I just wanted to thank also the league, obviously the club and the brand to be able to bring me here and make my dream come true. I wanted to come here for a little while now, and finally I'm here, so hope you're going to enjoy my game, and let's hope we can all enjoy a title also.
Before you start here, I wonder if you can tell us, sort of put behind what happened in South Africa with the French team. I
actually would like to know myself. I don't know what went wrong. On a personal point of view, I always got to respect the decision of the coach. his decision wasn't to play me, so I had to accept that and respect it. A lot of stuff were invented, unfortunately, and after I just would like to stick to the pitch problem that we had. I think we didn't play well. That is the only thing that we should be talking about right now. We didn't perform, as simple as that. I would like to refresh everybody's mind that with a world champion team, we went to the World Cup in 2002 and we went back home not scoring a goal. So it wasn't only a matter of this generation, like you can hear sometimes. We had great players also in 2002 and we didn't perform. Unfortunately, sometimes you don't know what's happening on the pitch, but you just don't perform. And you know, it was a sad one for the fans, for the country. But I think the team should move on now, and Laurent Blanc is going to be in position as the coach. So hopefully they can qualify and do well at the Euro.
Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas le risque que la MLS devienne un cimetière de joueurs qui sont en fin de carrière?
Un cimetière?
Oui, en fait, de finir leur carrière ici.
Non, je suis toujours pas en fin de carrière, donc voilà la réponse.
Mais vous êtes en fin de carrière internationale?
Ah oui, ça c'est clair, oui. Et ne croyez pas que c'est parce que ce qui s'est passé en Afrique du Sud était déjà décidé avant. Je voulais pas juste le dire avant la Coupe du Monde. Je voulais pas qu'on écrive ça juste avant une grande compétition. Donc c'était déjà dans ma tête bien réglé que j'allais arrêter après la Coupe du Monde. Donc voilà. Bonne chance aux Bleus. Bonne chance à Lolo. J'espère qu'ils vont pouvoir se qualifier et remonter le niveau du football français et essayer aussi de faire un bon Euro si jamais ils se qualifient, mais avec Lolo et connaissant les joueurs, je pense qu'ils se qualifieront. Mais c'est vrai qu'il y a une grosse évolution. Je pense qu'il y a eu 25 millions de personnes qui ont regardé la finale de la Coupe du Monde aux États-Unis, donc c'est quelque chose d'extraordinaire quand même. Quand on voit aussi les nouvelles arrivées dans le championnat, quand on voit comment évolue aussi l'équipe américaine, même s'ils ne jouent pas tous sur le continent américain, c'est aussi, il faut le préciser, mais ils ont des joueurs aussi qui jouent sur le continent américain. Je pense que la Ligue est en train de faire un bon travail et je peux vous dire que je dirais pas non, mais je sais qu'il y a pas mal de gars qui aimeraient venir jouer ici. Après, des fois, c'est pas toujours évident parce tu peux pas avoir plus de 3 joueurs. Ils appellent ça des DP, Designated Player. Donc, tu peux pas avoir plus de 3 joueurs, donc c'est pas toujours évident. Mais à mon avis, cette ligue est en train d'avancer.
It's very hard to talk about Jeanne-Claude without mentioning Christo, as it was an inseparable partnership of art and love. Born on the same day, 2 people as one, they built on each other's success and strengths.
One of the biggest love stories, as far as love stories, you know, you got Adam and Eve, you got Romeo and Juliet, you got Tristan and Isolde, and you got Christo and Jeanne-Claude.
I met Jeanne-Claude in Paris in 1958, and we lived in Paris between 58 and 64, but also we lived in Germany and Switzerland and Italy and England and Holland. And actually the first time I lended works of art to the United States was in 1962, but we have no money to come. And of course, when the chance came that I can have another group exhibition in 64 in New York City, we saved money and we come here to actually build a work of art here and exhibit it. And we like it very much, and we decided to come down here. And it's very simple like that. In the last 45 years, we realized 22 projects, and we failed to get permission for 37 projects. The many projects, once it was refusal, we don't like to do it anymore. Some project was refusal, like the Central Park or the Pont Neuf or the Reichstag, and we try to do it.
I would describe them as a unique husband and wife artist team who created throughout 5 decades of collaboration extraordinary, monumental public works of art.
All projects they initiated by us, they were paid by us with our money, it's our decision, and to do project, myself and Jeanne-Claude, we need to have that enjoyment, visceral, sensual enjoyment to realize the project. If you don't have that enjoyment, why should you do that project?
Regarde, that's the best view of all.
It's beautiful, beautiful, incredible, just like the drawing. All the works is done by Jeanne-Claude and Christo, and all the works in the studio is done by me. Basically the drawings, the scale models, the collages, the objects, all the objects, they're not complicated. And you know, the idea for the large project, and after that we need to be implemented and choosing the right color, choosing the right material, this is done all together.
Jeanne-Claude always said that she became an artist because Christo was an artist. She was not a trained artist. I recall her saying that had Christo been a dentist, she too would become a dentist.
Our project is our baby, and we like to do it our way. And many people think it's difficult, but it's not done our way, will be not done. The moment you walk out of, like here, this one, walk out of our street, somebody designed this sidewalk. You stop on Broadway, somebody designed the green light. You cross the street. Basically, you take your car, you drive the car. All humans, they're funneled to highly regulated space designed by urban planners with meaning, justification, regulation. Now, what we do, myself with Jeanne-Claude, we go to that space, we borrow that space for a few days, and we create a gentle disturbance. Basically, by the borrowing the space, we inherit. Everything was inherent to that space to become a part of the work of art. We don't invent the politics in the Reichstag, but in the Reichstag. The work of art is not one gate, and not 2 gates, not 1,000 gates. The work of art is the 7,503 gates and 37 kilometers walkway in Central Park in February of 2005. All that is work of art, including the tree, including the walkway, including the buildings. The art is not the object. Art is woven in the physicality of the space. There are so many beautiful things around the world, all the time. They're not invisible, but you need to be attuned to like that.
Those who will enjoy the experience of the gates, walking under the gates or in a wheelchair, they will know that they are experiencing something that is once in a lifetime, never again. By the way, Christo and I love the words once upon a time, il était une fois.
Jeanne-Claude once said that part of the beauty of art like the gates, or running fence, or umbrellas, is that it is fleeting. This makes our time with it all the more urgent and even sweeter. And I think the same thing can be said about the important people in our lives. Our experience with them is temporal in nature, but indelible in memory.